Yeah, it is an episode of the Autumn Windbags. RJ Clifford, Juan Soto. Let's have some fun today. Victory week. Sweeping the Broncos. Coming in a day early. We're recording this Tuesday night, airing it Wednesday, a day earlier than normal. We like to spread it out, right? Because there'd be a Sunday or Monday game, and we do a show halfway through. But it is Thanksgiving week, and so we wanted to make sure you guys had the pod before Thanksgiving. When Thanksgiving Day, Thanksgiving rolls around. You're with the family. You're watching football. You're getting a good buzz.
A lot of football, yeah.
We're gonna be overachievers, Soto, and coming a day early.
Yeah, we like to switch it up a little bit. It's like it's not just putting the leg on the leg and feeling around for the boob and just kind of like nudging a little bit. It's like sometimes you want to just wake her up
by the throat,
wake her up
down
with your face in between her butt cheeks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. The most apt description I can actually describe of being doing a podcast a day early. That's what you said, Soto. You always have a way of telling us tale with your words. So on that note, question of the day, and we'll put it down in the comment section, pinned. Let us know. Real simple one. Best Thanksgiving Day food. Real simple question. Now, Thanksgiving is a unique holiday because it involves a lot of foods you really don't eat throughout the year. Like how often do you eat like a baked turkey? How often do you have stuffing? How often do you have cranberry sauce? Like, I don't know a lot of families that do it all that often. And so it's like a weird kind of like unique lineup that's just kind of reserved for one day. And I've heard the calls of Thanksgiving Day food sucks, which is why we only eat it once a year. I say nay. I say it's the type of food that requires a lot of TLC to get it just right. And that's why it's reserved for the most gluttonous day of the Christian calendar.
Yeah, I love Thanksgiving food. Like, if I wanted to cheat, I'd say my favorite Thanksgiving Day food is the leftover sandwich. But I actually make little sliders out of the dinner rolls, Yep. I make little sliders the night of because everything's fresh. But I'm going to be a little bit, partial here.
Yep.
I make a damn good jalapeno bacon mac and cheese. And it's a hit.
Okay. That's a toot your own horn, but beep.
It's pretty fucking good. I haven't gotten any complaints. But yeah, that's probably like it's the traditional Thanksgiving food. I like my mom makes really good stuffing that I really like. That's probably one of my favorite things, I would say.
In general, I would probably go stuffing just because you never stuffing never exists the rest of the year and it's delicious. It's just carbs. Yeah, the old lady's family, they put sausage in it.
Yeah.
Right? And you're dumping the gravy on it.
I've had it. We've shared a Thanksgiving. Yeah.
You've been there, right?
It's good. It's good. I brought over my mac and cheese that day, I think. Yeah.
Damn good. Last year when we were watching the Raiders and the Cowboys play one of the craziest Thanksgiving Day games ever and kept us in the playoff hunt.
Oh, yeah.
Derek Carr, like 440 yards. Like, it's insane. But uniquely to me, the deep fried turkey that I make.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's good.
Is hard to beat. It's really hard to beat.
As dumb as your ass is sometimes, I'm surprised you have not burned down your whole entire house. You've done it a few times.
That's why I do the deep frying out in the yard. Nowhere near anything flammable. Worst case scenario,
there's a tree there.
Yeah, it'll burn it. It's a healthy tree. The tree can handle a little flame and grease,
It's a lot of flame and a lot of. You see those people that drop in the frozen ones, and they should just fucking boom.
Seriously, like you need to be taught how to deep fry a turkey one time, and you'll never burn anything ever again. It's that simple. It's like you measure the oil out ahead of time, right? So you
with water,
turkey and frozen, fill it in with water, see where the level is. Take the turkey out.
Mark it. Don't eyeball it.
Then do the oil. Make sure the turkey's fully thawed. That's 99% of the problem.
Dry it off, right? Pat it down. Make sure it's nice and dry.
That's 99% of it. Then after that, it's just make sure the dog doesn't knock the deep fryer over.
Make sure the hook is on right when you freaking lower it. You just
don't be too drunk when you do it.
You were mighty drunk,
which is hard. And even my drunk ass hasn't had one accident deep frying the turkey. I'm also with you on the post Thanksgiving Day sandwiches.
Oh God.
I remember being a kid because when I don't know how you were, but when I was a kid, we had to make our own lunches from like first grade until we were off to college, right? We had to make our own lunches. And so my lazy ass was like peanut butter sandwich, carrot sticks, pretzels. That was every single lunch I ever had from like first grade, like through high school, except after Thanksgiving when we just had leftovers on leftovers and I'm putting the turkey on there. I mixed mashed potatoes in there. I tried to shove some stuffing. I remember one time I had a sandwich so stuffed, I invented this sandwich burrito where my sandwich was so stuffed I couldn't keep it together. I wrapped it in a tortilla. I basically invented the chalupa, but as a Thanksgiving Day sandwich, just to hold it all together.
Yeah, it's even more important than the sandwich itself is like the combination, like the order. The mashed potatoes on the bottom keeps the corn in place, and then you put the turkey, and then if you want cranberry sauce, you put the cranberry sauce on there. Then you put the stuffing on top, and then you put the other piece of bread.
I'd also say Thanksgiving is the most underrated holiday out of all the holidays. Because think about it, like you're guaranteed 4 days off work. And if you're a you or me, like a male, like in late 30s, early 40s, you have zero responsibility of any kind. You're not really in Christmas, you have to shop for presents, you have to shop for the kids, you gotta like all these family responsibilities. Thanksgiving, you and I are barely cooking, if anything. We don't have to buy any presents. You don't have to travel too far, right? You kind of do local.
Yeah,
and you get 4 full days off of work. It's the underrated best American holiday.
And there is a shit ton of football on.
So much football.
Like if you hate football, you're shit out of luck on fucking Thanksgiving. Like, what else are you gonna watch? I mean, you can watch the World Cup this year, but
some basketball here and there.
There's a little basketball.
It's just great view. Yeah, you're getting drunk, you're eating and watching football if you're a man on Thanksgiving.
That's what you should do.
What's your strategy at the plate? Are you a knife and fork? Are you like a fork roll? Because I've learned over the years that the fork tortilla is the way to go. Where you gravy. So my first plate is no greens. I'll do a cool down plate. So first plate, turkey, ham, mashed potatoes, stuffing. If there's a unique jalapeno
carb
mac and cheese item that sometimes pops up, that's in there too. And then it's gravy on everything. Every square inch, right hand fork, left hand tortilla, and then it's just scoop, bite, scoop, bite. Second plate, I do a cool down plate, which is crucial. You go a vegetable plate, some salads. Most places have like a green bean or something like that. You do the cool down plate, which is both literal and metaphorical. It's cooler, right? It's a raw, cool plate. And also it's just like a light vegetable to kind of, how like the earth, the crust, like the rocks have certain layers, and that's how it also, if it's all one rock, it's not stable. But if you mix up the rocks, it's stable. So you go big, meaty gravy plate, greens cool down plate, followed up with whatever you want seconds of after that. And that's the strategy to keep like your gut healthy. And also you got to make sure by the time you get to plate 1, you have whatever buzz you want to have for that day, because you're going to eat so much that you're not going to be able to build up a buzz, because you're just going to be stuffed.
Yeah, it's too carved up. You're too carved up.
Yeah. I want to hear your strategy. My
strategy is big plate full of everything.
Okay.
Smaller. Hey, fool. I'm going to cook your ass.
I was going to say, rotisserie cat this year?
Yeah, rotisserie cat.
Messing with you?
Dude, bajate. He speaks Spanish. Then the second plate is like a smaller version of the first plate.
Okay.
And then it's the dessert round, which is like one of everything. If there's 6 different kinds of pies, I'm gonna have 6 fucking slices of fucking pie. All right.
Yeah. You're not gonna insult the pie.
Cool Whip on everything.
Yeah.
Then about an hour after, I will have a third smaller plate with everything.
Okay.
And then I will pass out and probably shit my pants.
So you don't diversify your portfolio. You're just like everything, and it's just whatever the gut can handle as the day progresses.
Oh, it's not about the gut handling it. I'm gonna fucking make that happen. If I'm still full, I'm still gonna fucking make at least a couple of sliders. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I also love the multicultural Thanksgivings. So when I was in San Francisco, half my buddies were Filipino. And so I went to a couple Filipino Thanksgivings, and it was great because they had the turkey, the stuffing, the mashed potatoes, the regular stuff. And then it was like lumpia, egg rolls, this like whatever that little pork, like juicy pork, stew thing they make. Like that's the shit. Because you're like, all right, hitting the staples, and then hit me with something a little different, right? Throw me some curveballs to mix into my, because I have a strategy I want to stick to, but I'm willing to be flexible if you give me a good reason.
Yeah, that's the first time I was at a buddy's house was Filipino, and they had this like eggplant thing that was like sliced open, and then they baked it, but it had like seasoned ground beef in it. It was fucking delicious.
Yeah, I love how like American food is designed to make you not remember what animal died to eat it.
Yeah, right.
Like, chicken nuggets look nothing like chicken nuggets. Like burgers look nothing like cows. But Filipino food is just like, all right, here's the head of a pig. We're gonna eat it now. Here's a half-developed embryo of an egg that looks like a chick inside of it.
Yeah.
Look,
we're
gonna boil that and eat it. It's like Filipino food's like, we're gonna tell you exactly which soul died for you to have sustenance today.
I'm gonna throw up.
Okay. Good. I was curious. All right, that was a very, very long question of the day because you get us talking about food and we start carrying on. Best Thanksgiving Day food. Leave it down in the comment section. Also very curious on how you people tackle your Thanksgiving Day. All right. Victory week. After sweeping the Denver Broncos for not once, not twice, but thrice seasons in a row. Beautiful way to do it. Did you see the video that the Raiders.com put out of the locker room celebration?
I did.
You did.
I did, and I was
brought a tear to my eye.
I was pleasantly surprised at the joy and the just like a little boy enthusiasm, right? With when Josh McDaniels said it was victory week. It was. I don't think he's lost.
I don't care how old you are. I don't care what color you are. I don't care how much money you make. When you get time off work that you earned, you are doing backflips.
Oh yeah. And you know what? I don't see a team that's tuned out their head coach. I see a team that maybe hasn't been used to accountability as much. That's hasn't been used to maybe tougher coaching. And I'm not taking Josh McDaniels off the hook. He still needs to be able to be that iron fist in the velvet glove. Like he needs to be able to better deliver messages.
Do some iron fisting, if you will.
Yeah, and with some velvet gloving. But he hasn't lost his locker room.
So that was the end of like that video. It was like a minute 20 video. The middle part of the video was what struck me. Take a look.
Come on now. Dub. You really that boy?
My dog, you that boy. You that boy. You that boy.
So that room did not fully celebrate until Derek Carr was there. Once he got in there, for those who didn't see on the podcast, they all swarmed him, jumped around him, and started chanting DC. Now, he had a really good game, but I wouldn't say he was even the MVP of the game. I did a poll right here on YouTube. I was like, all right, who do you think is the MVP of the win over the Raiders? And I put Davante Adams, Josh Jacobs, Maxx Crosby, Derek Carr, and other. Could have potentially even put Daniel Carlson on there. He had a 57-yarder, right? And Carr got like third. He got like 12% of the vote. Wasn't, he played really well and big part of the reason why we won. But Maxx Crosby was number 1, Davante Adams number 2. But they really wouldn't start celebrating. They were happy, they were high-fiving, but the party didn't start until Derek Carr was in that locker room. And that's a big part of just being a quarterback in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
But another big part of it is we hear all the time from beat reporters, from the players themselves, Carr is the hardest worker in that building, right? First guy there, last guy out, trying to help everybody. He is the unequivocal leader of that room. And even I didn't expect that. Even I didn't think like if I'm Maxx Crosby and Josh Jacobs are like, look at us, bro. Denzel Perryman and Davante Adams were in that clip. And you saw Perryman fucking blast Melvin Gordon one time. Davante Adams, 2 touchdowns, like looked great. You think like those two guys would be like, dude, let's jerk each other off. Like we're awesome, right? It was just like, what up? What up? What up? We're happy. What up? Where's Derek? Where's DC? And then that's when the party started. So that was my biggest takeaway from this is that, well, my second biggest takeaway. The first takeaway is watching just like the youthful joy of a locker room of a season that to you and I feels like it's lost. Now it's just like, all right, let's just learn each other better. Let's figure out who's going to stick around for next year. Let's learn the system. Let's try to get accustomed to these new coaches. Like that's kind of how we're feeling it. The locker room doesn't feel that way. That locker room is still, we are a football team with one goal, and that's to win every single game we go out there. So that's number 1. Number 2 was I did not expect that level of cohesion exclusively around QB1.
Yeah, I wasn't as surprised with the reaction to Derek Carr coming in as I was to the reaction that Josh McDaniels got, because Carr's been there for years. Mm-hmm. And he's the unquestioned leader of the team, and he gets respect from his teammates. That's something that I never doubted. He played a really, really good game, and that's what we need. And fairly or unfairly, when the team wins, the quarterback gets a lion's share of the credit, and when they lose, he gets a lion's share of the blame. The issue that we see with him is his consistency, and he's had about 3 stinkers, maybe 4 this season. Maybe that he's got them all out of his system, and we got smooth sailing from here on out.
I'm wondering too. So I have been giving credit for last year's late surge to Rich Bisaccia. I felt like, okay, I think this team just kind of loved their interim coach. The coach loved them back. They went through so much shit together, and that's how they were able to win back-to-back games over teams more talented than them. I was like, okay, Bisaccia led them through this. And that's partly why, too, I've been extra hard on Josh McDaniels, because the team's playing so worse this season. What's the big change? Coach, right? This made me kind of think maybe Carr was the leader through that last run more than we gave him credit for. And his play was not great. Like, he didn't play fantastic.
It was poor. His play was poor. It was probably, to be fair, he probably one of his worst 4-game stretch of the season.
He showed up in flashes randomly when he had to, but it wasn't, nowhere near like the opening 4 games of the season, right? When it was like we couldn't win unless he played amazing, right?
Multiple turnovers every game.
A lot of turnovers, right? He was still turnover Carr last season, all last season.
It was tough. It was tough.
But now I'm starting to think, maybe Carr was the catalyst. Maybe the team rallied around Carr more than maybe any of us really recognized.
I mean, it's possible. I mean, he's definitely, like I said, he's the leader of the team, and he's not going to pull stupid shit like freaking Zach Wilson and, just being an entitled, spoiled brat. He's going to go out there and he's going to take his lumps, and he's going to take more than his share of blame, and he's not going to call people out individually in public, and he's going to keep the locker room sacred. And I wouldn't doubt it if it was him. And I even said it, like when people are, oh, yeah, Derek Carr led them to the playoffs. Like, well, I mean, yeah, his leadership, maybe his play, not so much, but his leadership, sure. I definitely agree with that.
And I was also curious how they respond to, it's 2022 and grown men crying doesn't have the same stigma that it has even like 10 years ago, let alone 20.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, all right, are they going to follow a dude who like cries at the podium after a loss? The answer is fuck yes. Like that didn't affect how the team viewed him at all, apparently.
You know what? People let out emotions in different ways, and I'm sure that there was a lot more emotion than that being shown in the locker room.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, if people were being called out like we heard they were.
That's a great point. That was just the public crying. God only knows what they were doing to, how they were being emotional when the doors were closed.
You got a guy goes out after his best friend on the team, who was the head coach, gets fired. And then one of the guys he's trying to bring along and put his arm around and mentor gets cut for killing somebody drunk driving. And he shows that brave face to the public. And then you see that same guy trying to get it together to go out for his press conference. You're like, damn, this guy is really committed. And that has never been something that I have questioned about Derek Carr. Is his commitment to the team or his commitment to keeping what he feels is the right locker room etiquette. I'm not saying he's right or wrong, but what he feels his locker room etiquette is, keeping that and upholding that, and being a leader on the team. That's never been anything that I've questioned. There's
really nothing that can bring down, like if you're the hardest worker on the team, right? If you're you put in more work than everyone else, right? It's almost impossible to come down on someone who's doing that, who says we need to work harder. When you're the hardest worker, like John Gruden, it was one of the best things John Gruden said when he was doing. We talked about it on the show multiple times. We did like a coaching combine and we played some audio from it. One of them was he was talking about how the best player on your team has to be the hardest worker.
Got to be,
because he sets the precedent for everyone else. They can't look at Antonio Brown, who's a fuck up, but he's the all-star. Like, you can't have that be the example. You can't have that in these 22-year-old rookies' minds that, oh, that's how superstars behave. It's no, the hardest workers are the best players. And
the reason for that is everybody that's made it to the NFL is an alpha male. And they all think they're the best player. They just haven't had the shot yet. Mm-hmm. So if you see someone who people feel is your best player on your team not giving it their all and fucking up, oh, well, I'm as good as he is. I just haven't had my shot yet, so I can fuck up too. When you see everybody working hard and the best players working, the hardest workers, then that puts everyone else in line.
And that also gives you the power to call people out, right? Yeah. Like, if I'm here 3 hours before you, Soto, I can say, Soto, get your shit together. I can say that because I'm doing it, right? If I leave 2 hours before you do, you can text me as I'm driving off. Hey, you piece of shit. Like, we're working to win here.
Yeah.
Where are you? Like, you have that equity, I guess, in the locker room, right? And that's what Derek Carr brings.
There was an old Hard Knocks season. I think it was the Texans. And did Vince Wilfork play for the Texans?
Yep.
Okay, so it was, because Vince Wilfork was yelling at a young defensive player.
I think it was the year they did the Hard Knocks. I remember they had him in the backyard, and he was playing basketball with like his 10-year-old, and he had the overalls with no shirt
and the Cowboys.
And he's just like crushing this like little kid, all 330 pounds of him. Anyway, sorry to just distract you, but that's what I remembered.
It was hilarious. No, but basically what he was saying to the defensive guy was like, because he had to cut his weight session short, and he's like, why are you cutting anything short? Like, why are you having to cut anything short? You need to be here with enough time to get your weightlifting in, to get your own personal private film study in, to get your group film study in, and to get your PT done. So that's on you. You shouldn't have to cut anything short. And he was like, and this guy was like head down and shit. And he's like, you're like, why are you here? Like, why are you here? What else do you got to do that's more important than being here? Like, you shouldn't be cutting anything short. Like, if you got a PT appointment, guess what? You need to get here way early to make sure you get everything done.
So Melvin Gordon got released from the Broncos.
Fumbling, bumbling, stumbling.
Because he likes to fumble every other time he touches the ball. Although I will say, like, how satisfying is it that Maxx Crosby probably single-handedly is the reason why he got cut this week? Like, he might have been cut eventually when you're that big of a fumbler, right? And there's so many running backs. But is there – I mean, Maxx Crosby had a hell of a day on Sunday. 2 sacks, blocked field goal. But then to not only cause a punt or cause a fumble –
Cause a release.
It wasn't even recovered by the Raiders. Like, it was still recovered by Denver, but just like uppercutted that ball, fumbled it, and then the next day he gets cut. Like, that's a scalp on your wall that few players have, to be like, yeah, I single-handedly got that player cut with my play.
Yeah, man. I think he fumbled what, 3 times against us this year?
Something like that.
I mean, he only lost 1, but he fumbled 3 times against us this year. And I don't know, man. Was he that big of a fumbler with the Chargers?
Always been a big fumbler.
Oh my God. It just seems like it's a lot worse now. Well, you know what? Fuck him.
I just love knowing that Maxx Crosby ended a career of a Bronco. It's just beautiful.
But in a nice way, he didn't hurt him.
Yeah, like well within the boundaries of proper play. You know,
he hurt his feelings, maybe.
Yeah. File this under Mother of God. I hope it is true, but I don't think it is. According to Drake Jordan, never heard of him, on Twitter, breaking: multiple sources indicate that after last night's overtime loss to the Raiders, former Broncos running back Melvin Gordon loudly played several songs by hip-hop artist Future in the Broncos locker room. Quarterback Russell Wilson reportedly demanded his immediate release that same night. For context, Future is the ex-fiancé of Russell Wilson's wife, Ciara, who recently filed a $15 million lawsuit against the hip-hop artist. Since Wilson joined the Broncos this spring, the team had banned Future from all locker room playlists. Now, this is so TMZ-y and outlandish and petty. I want to lean on the rational part of my brain that says this can't be true. But the NFL can be so TMZ-y and petty. This could very well be true. And God, I hope it is.
Yeah. You hooked me on that one. I think I'm going to believe it until I am told directly otherwise.
Guilty until proven innocent. We're going backwards.
I believe it until Russ Wilson, Ciara, or Melvin Gordon tell me otherwise. To my face.
Dude, speaking of Russell Wilson, you know what his dead cap hit is next season?
It's got to be like 40 million.
His dead cap hit.
Dead cap hit.
So if you cut him, right, the dead cap hit. So it's the whole contract. Dead cap hit.
The whole contract?
He had almost all guaranteed money.
Oh my God.
5-year deal. Dead cap hit. $120 million.
He ain't going nowheres.
He's sticking around for at least 3 more seasons. Look, I get it. Like the Walton Zone, the Broncos, right? Walmart, $120 million is like 45 minutes of profit, right? For the Walmart empire. So it's not like the actual money screws them, but that's like
the cap,
almost half the cap. Like, you can't build a team with that. Like,
dude, I don't know who the fuck Russell Wilson had a sex tape on to get this fucking deal done, but god damn. I'm not hating on the dude. He's getting on his money, but oof, that's fucking oof. To have the worst offense in the league, oof.
And you can't even tank because you don't have any picks. You gave him all to Seattle for Russell Wilson that you got a $120 million dead cap hit on.
Yeah, Seattle made out, dude. Seattle
Hell
made out
yeah,
like
they
a fucking
did.
bandit.
Right?
Oh yeah, they did.
They might get a second or a third rounder next, or a second or third overall with the Broncos. The
Yeah,
Broncos
man,
are
it's
at
crazy.
least the second worst team in football, right? Did they play the Texans yet?
They're third. No, they haven't played the Texans yet. That's tough. That's rough business right there.
How long does Nathaniel Hackett last in Denver?
He's done after this year. No, I doubt he makes it. He already gave up play calling.
Yeah. What job does he have now? Like, he gave up play calling, didn't even give it to the offensive coordinator. He gave it to like the quarterback's coach.
Yeah.
2 weeks in, he hired like a game manager, which is basically a babysitter. What job does he have left? What does he do?
He holds the clipboard.
He holds the clipboard and does the presser.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all really he does.
He organizes the
He
charity
executes.
5K.
Listen. He talks to the customers. So the
engineers don't have to.
Engineers don't have to. They don't have people skills.
What movie is that from? Let us know in the comment section. It's a beautiful time to look into Denver Nation. Like, as bad as this season's been for the Raiders, and quite literally the most disappointing season of my Raiders lifetime, as far as expectations to what happened. The most disappointing season I can remember. It's good to know that it's only the second most disappointing season in the NFL, because the Broncos are even worse.
God damn.
And they're even more long-term fucked.
Oh,
I don't think is there a single team more long-term fucked than the Broncos? I mean, the Texans owe Deshaun Watson more, but if he still plays like a top 5 quarterback, then you're not ruined, right? Like, you got play out of him at least.
No, they got picks. They got picks for him, right? So, nah, man, because they owe him so much money, man, and they don't.
Browns owe him a ton of. Browns owe
that
Deshaun a ton of money, but again, if he plays well.
Yeah, but the Browns, the money is just money, dude. Like, these are NFL owners. They have fucking money. It's about the resources, your resources that you have. They got a bunch of picks for Deshaun Watson.
Cap it.
Yeah, man. But the thing is Broncos take the cap hit and they don't have picks. At least Browns have picks. They can get young talent. They don't have that. They don't have that way to get young talent.
Well, no. The Browns gave up the picks for.
Oh yeah, you're right.
But that's what I'm saying. If Deshaun still plays like a top 5 quarterback, then you're like, okay, we're getting play out of him, right?
I was thinking the opposite.
No one's more fucked than Denver.
Yeah, that's
short term and long term.
So
Beautiful.
let me run something by you here. I didn't put it on the rundown, so I want to get your honest, rash opinion.
Surprise topic.
I was listening to a radio show this morning, and they were talking to a former NFL GM who went out and got a star quarterback to play on their team, who had everything but a quarterback. This star quarterback was released or not re-signed because they had a quarterback behind them. Do you know who I'm talking about? Mm-mm. So Mike Tannenbaum was the GM for the Jets when they went and got Brett Favre. And he's saying that this team that the Jets have right now is young and good and just going to get better when they get healthier, when they get their offensive linemen back. Their skill positions are good. Their defense is really good.
Top 3 defense.
They're just a quarterback away.
Yeah.
And they were talking about players that can potentially go to the Jets if they want to move on because of the whole Zach Wilson bullshit that happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Derek Carr's name was one of the ones prominently floated out there as a possible name that would be a good fit for that team because he's, not as bad as Zach Wilson. He's not bad. He's like an average, wherever you want to put him. He's in the teens, low teens, whatever, quarterback. They have the cap space because they have a lot of young players. And the only thing is the only sticking point was the no trade clause and maybe not wanting to play on the East Coast. But my question to you is, what kind of haul do you think in this scenario the Raiders would get if they were to convince Derek Carr to be traded to the Jets?
So Carr is going to be tied to every team in that situation. The Commanders, there's an article ESPN did, like Commanders are in the same situation. I think what they were hypothesizing in the article was a first and a third for Carr. That was the hypotheses for the Commanders.
I ain't mad at
There's
it.
a couple moving parts. Does Davante Adams stay or go or disgruntled, or what happens with Davante Adams, right? Because he came to Vegas to play with Carr, right? And you're like, oh, here's a whole bait and switch, right? And I think Davante Adams was probably like, okay, sweet. My quarterback has a no trade clause. So there's no like, all right, they're going to bait me here. They're going to use Derek Carr as bait. And then once I'm here and signed, they're going to bounce him out and get someone else in, right? So I think he probably was thinking that, right? So that's not something that can't be overcome, but it is a moving part there. I don't know. Yeah, it's almost irrelevant because it's whatever, because you're going to completely limit where Derek Carr can go because he gets to choose because he has a no trade clause, and he's said / threatened that if he doesn't play there, he'll just retire. Now, I don't know if I 100% believe that, but
I don't even 1% believe that.
There's part of me that would be like, well, I know I definitely believe that he wouldn't go to a dumpster fire, right? Like he wouldn't be like, all right, I got, if I'm going to get traded to, the Texans or like some, Broncos or some trash team. You're like, okay, I'd rather retire than play there the last 4 or 5 years of my career. That I do believe. I don't know. First and a second. If he plays better this season, probably get 2 firsts, depending. What did the Commanders pay for Wentz? Wasn't that
two thirds?
2/3? Okay. What did the Stafford? What doesn't make sense? It's hard to gauge because they're just basically
swapping starting quarterbacks.
Well, you're paying for Goff's contract, right? So that was kind of like
the swap.
That was what you were paying for, not the quarterback itself.
Matt Ryan went for 1/3 round pick.
Okay, and he's definitely way more shot than Carr is.
Yeah, I mean he didn't play like it against us, but yeah, he is.
It's hard. I can't think of an equivalent recently that kind of fits.
Because he doesn't have that snap, crackle, pop to his name like a Russell Wilson did. Even though he looks to be in a lot better shape.
He's better than all the quarterbacks we've mentioned, right? In this whole discussion, right? He's better than all of them.
Well,
he doesn't have the name brand.
Not just in play, but also in longevity. I don't see Carson Wentz being in the league too much longer if he just doesn't get his act right. It's like, dude, there's too many guys that we can get out there that are Jags like you. Just a guy. Carson Wentz is just a guy.
And Wentz is also like a locker room cancer.
That's what I mean. If he doesn't get his shit together,
right?
It's like, dude, there's too many guys like you to fucking deal with your shit.
Yeah. Look, it's always a good situation when people raise the price for any players that you have. Always good. You always want the perceived high value of your entire roster, everyone on it. Carr more than quarterback more than anybody.
Yeah. One of the things that was brought up was the fact that Carr is like the anti-Zach Wilson. He is Mr. Accountability, Mr. Hard Work.
He fucks your daughter,
his
not
teammates. I don't know that. I don't know about that.
Please spreading salacious rumors.
Terrible. RJ, you are a member of the media, RJ. You're a respected member of the MMA media. How dare
I like
you?
To flagrantly and irresponsibly spread rumors when it comes to football.
It's true. It's damn true.
So speaking of kind of, what the Raiders might do. I know this is a happy week. It's a victory week. But the whole Mark Davis has been fucking this team for multiple seasons in a row is still a thing, even though we were coming off a win, right? in a sweep of the Denver Donkeys. John Middlecoff, who used to be an NFL scout. He's a radio host, has a podcast. I listen to him and Haberman semi-regularly because they're Bay Area guys. They're seasoned radio guys like I am, and so I kind of relate to them a little bit. Anyway, they talk West Coast stuff all the time. He told a story, John Middlecoff did, about how he got fired as the Raiders post-game radio guy. And it was really good insight because, he was in that building, in that organization. Haberman was as well. And it's just an interesting little snapshot of how that organization is run. It's a little bit long of a clip, but trust me, it's worth it. Take a listen.
I hosted Raiders post-game. One time they were 0-10.
Yeah.
And I tweeted out, the rest of their schedule, the remaining 6 games. I said 0-16 is on the table. The Chiefs, the Niners, and within 10 minutes, I get a call. I didn't pick it up, but Mark Badane ripping me, the former president of the Raiders, for tweeting out that they might go 0-16. Guy, they were 0-10. Their mindset is just so low level, and that. Obviously, Mark Badane ended up losing a lot of money for Mark Davis by giving a bunch of money that the city of Oakland didn't even deserve, just randomly to him. That's not even no here nor there. But you and I were uniquely equipped to up close and personal, and we just got to see the ins and outs. And we've always said, like, Mark Davis personally, like, just when you talk to him, he's very friendly and nice guy. But I also think they get very, very sensitive on their brand. And it's one thing to, like, your team has just historically sucked in my adult life. It can just always suck. So people aren't taking unnecessary shots when you stink.
This is interesting to me because in hindsight, that story is even deeper because, like you just mentioned, the former president, Mark Badane, got canned because he was paying Oakland more taxes than they owed. Like, he was shitting the bed on the most important jobs of a team president, but he was still petty enough to come down on a local radio guy who does post game because he tweeted how you are on a 0-10 run right now. Like, you're in week 11 and you haven't won a game. And that does feel like the kind of petty ma and pa organization that we think is going on from the outside looking in, and not that like big time people can't be petty as well, right? Like, presidents of the United States, Fortune 500 CEOs, multi-billionaires, they can be petty too. But when you're winning at stuff, you have time to be petty. When you're shitting the bed, like Mark Davis and Badane have been doing, being petty seems like a waste of time. We should be focused on other stuff. That makes sense.
I disagree. I wouldn't call it being petty. I would calling it having standards of how you represent the team that's paying you. Mm-hmm. I don't know that you would be very long for this world if you started, let's say, openly on your Twitter account bashing Dana White for not paying UFC fighters enough.
Now, let me stop you there. I don't know exactly what Middlecoff's tweet was, right? He's describing it as basically like, all right, you're 0-10. Are the Raiders going to go 0-16? Here's the next 6 games. If that's as innocent as he makes it sound, that sounds like actual radio discussion. Like,
yeah, no, you that is
0-10.
Look, but
like,
RJ,
what games are you going to win?
RJ, you know this. You have to find a positive spin on things. You can't put out there that your team can go 0-16. You cannot. You are going to make the franchise look even worse to other franchises and the fans of other franchises. You're going to make the team look even worse than they already do by allowing that to happen. You cannot have that, especially somebody who was paid by the team. You have to put a positive spin on it. It's not petty.
You have a job as a radio host to engage your audience, get ratings,
and you also are paid by a company.
So when I went to Giants Raiders last season at MetLife, right? I went to the Giants game at Giant Stadium, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Giants were like 2-5 or something at the time. I don't remember. Terrible record, right? They were awful, right? And as I was leaving, their actual Giants post-game show was blaring on the loudspeakers. Like they play it as you're leaving the stadium on the speakers. And the host was talking about, yeah, that was the best win of the season so far. Certainly not a lot of greats. That doesn't say a lot because this team's been absolutely terrible this season. So having this be the best, best win of the season, doesn't, not a lot to pick from, right? I was like, oh yeah, he's like bashing how bad they've been this season because they were 2-5 or whatever it was. If it's exactly what Middlecoff said, and you're 0-10, 0-10, like last in the league, atrocious, and you simply tweet, these are our next 6 games. How, is this team going to go winless? That doesn't feel like unfair bashing, right? It's not like it's in August and they're like, all right, this team's going to go 0-16, right? It's like, no, you're 0-10 and you're facing the real possibility of being the second winless team in NFL history. And to bring that up, and I cut it off for time because Middlecoff went off for another minute, but he brought another good point. It's like, it's not like people go after the Raiders for sucking specifically. Like, oh, let's go after he used the example like the Browns. Like people don't shit on the Browns because they have anything against the Browns. Just they've sucked for 20 years. Like that's why. Like they're a punchline. Like that's what it is. The Raiders, since I've been a teenager, since 2002, have been terrible. And like those are the facts. Like that's the reality. So let's deal in reality and talk about it. Right? And again, Middlecoff could be lying and could have made it much more vicious and much more underhanded, much more insulting, and it makes me look like an idiot. But if he did tweet what he said he tweeted in just simply that fashion, you're 0-10, worst team in the league. Are we going to go 0-16? That is a valid and engaging radio conversation to have as a host when you're 0-10. And to me, a team president or owner should be saying, yeah, we're that bad. We should be they should be taking responsibility for being 0-10, and instead they're playing whack-a-mole with media members that are acknowledging that they're 0-10.
So I will start from the latest thing you said and work backwards.
Okay.
He didn't just acknowledge that they were 0-10. He put out there basically the likelihood that they would go 0-16. That's how it was framed.
Mm-hmm.
And so the owner of the gym where I work, where I imagine I help coach, we were going through some rough times when we first opened the gym and stuff like that. And I told him, man, there is too many people out there in this world against you for you to be against yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And this negative self-talk about a member of the organization, right, just can't happen. It can't happen. You can't have that out there. So when we talk about a story, there's going to be...
Isn't that insulting to your fans?
No, it's not, because it's how you frame it,
0-10.
RJ. It's how you frame it, RJ. You're supposed to, as a member of this team, of the organization, you're supposed to inspire some reason for them to want to keep listening and want to keep watching and want to keep being a fan. You don't just celebrate the fact that they're winless and that they can go winless the entire season. Isn't that right? Isn't that right, Razor?
It's actually it's a genuinely good, engaging conversation.
Okay. If you're a member of the general media, yes. If you're paid by that team, that is a big no-no. You don't do that, RJ. You know better than that. There is no way you do that. Then you know what? The next time you're on talking about MMA, bash the UFC about how they pay their fighters and see how far that gets you.
Completely different for multiple reasons.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, RJ.
I'll be happy to tell you why.
You can flip this around any way you want. The baseline is the same. You're bashing the organization that pays you. You're making them look in a worse light.
It's not bashing. That is a fair question. It's a fair question. You're 0-10.
RJ, you're drawing attention.
Are you going to get a win the last 6 games?
How many 0-16 teams have there been in the league? The chances are you're going to get somebody. Okay,
and that's what he was asking. And
no,
it's
he
a
was
fair
not
question.
asking that. He's like, oh, look, first off, there's Middlecoff's side of the story, which is always going to be shaded towards him. If you talk to Dane, it's going to be his side of the story. And then there's the truth in the middle. So I'm telling you right now, it wasn't just
I literally started this conversation with, I'm going off of what Middlecoff is saying. It could be way worse.
Even
and
then,
if it is,
even then, you don't bring attention to that like that, dude. You just can't do it. You can't. And the fact that Badane sucked at his job has nothing to do with the fact that Middlecoff shouldn't have said what he said.
it is a very fair question. And it is good radio to have that conversation. And it is very, and to his greater
Not if you're a member of that organization.
To his greater point, the Raiders have been terrible for 20 years, right? And that is more Mark Badane's fault than it is John Middlecoff's. It's more Mark Davis'
You're bringing
fault
in different things. You're bringing the
John
distraction.
Middlecoff.
You're bringing the distraction in here.
No, there's multiple layers to this conversation.
And
this is one
layers.
of them.
This is the issue that was at hand. You don't bring more negative attention to an organization that pays you. You just don't do it.
Okay, agree to disagree. Now let's move on to the other layer of this conversation.
Let's disagree.
So let's well, the other layer of this conversation. Mark Badane and Mark Davis are 1,000 times, 10 million times more responsible for the Raiders sucking than Middlecoff, right? And like how that's their focus. How they're just so. It's good to be protective of your brand. It's a good thing. It's a good quality. You're protective of your brand. But to be protective in a way that's more censorship than action makes you look rinky-dink, right? It's like you are unable to do the taxes correctly for this organization, and it's eventually going to get you fired. But boy, are you following Twitter for random people asking questions about your record. That's a bad sign. That definitely makes you look rinky-dink.
It's not a random person. It's a person that is employed by the organization. Okay, so let's just be fair about this.
Okay, there's hundreds of people employed by the organization, but that's one of them.
Okay, again, but he is a member of the organization that is charged with connecting with its fan base. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's huge. All right, and you already have a fan base. If he's doing the post game shows, that people that follow him know him from the post game shows, and they're 0-10. They're already a little bit, oh man, they're already a little pissed off when they listen to this guy. And then he's going to tweet out something like that. Look, man, it's just not a good look. It's not a good look for the facing of the brand. I understand what you're saying organizationally.
Lincoln Kennedy comes down on the organization semi-consistently when he does color on the radio. Semi-consistently. It's like, oh, I'm absolutely disgusted by this play. I'm disgusted by the coach, and that's been that way for years, right? There's a place for
There's a different way to frame this, RJ. There's a different way to frame it. Look, the team is 0-10 off the top of my head. The team is 0-10 right now. It's rare that teams go 0-16. So let's find a win in these next 6 games. There's a different way you can frame it. You don't have to frame it.
And that might have been how he framed it. I don't
That's
have
not how he
tweet.
said it.
Well, he said it was like, is the team going to go 0-16? But regardless, my point is, I'd rather not be insulted by mouthpieces of an organization. You can be honest and still be true to the job. At 0-10,
was I being honest with what I said?
Yeah, that worked.
Exactly. Again, there is a way.
That's a radio conversation.
There's a way you can frame things that doesn't come out negative.
But at 0-10, you have a right to be negative.
Again, there's too many people against you for you to be against yourself, and for a member of your organization to say this type of negative stuff. It's just, you can't have it, man. I don't think you can have it.
There needs to be a level of truth to it.
What I said was true too. It's just the way that you frame it.
I just don't want to be insulted by radio.
I wasn't insulting you. I wasn't insulting you.
We're 0-10. Let's put some hot sauce on this shit pile and eat it like it's a steak. It's like,
dude, am I celebrating going 1-15 or 2-14, whatever we went that year? No, I'm not celebrating that. What I'm saying is, hey,
the irony is they went 3-3.
Yeah, right.
Remember that season? It was was that Carr's rookie year?
It was Carr's rookie year,
right? 0-10.
They ended up getting
we had like the worst rushing attack in like NFL history.
Yeah.
And then it was that Thursday night we beat the Chiefs to go 1-10 and then ended up being 3-13. That's the irony of the whole conversation. Hey, maybe that's what spurred them on to go 500 the rest of the season.
Right?
John Middlecoff put the tweet out. And
Jem Middlecoff, you little bitch.
Maybe he was putting bulletin board material out for the team, and he took one for the team. He's like, "Hey, I'll get fired for being negative because we're going to go 3-3 to close out the season, go 500."
I have a plan, people.
You ready to do some what up windbags?
Yes, but before we do, you put my thinking cap on.
Where do you lower third? Oh, wait, what's happening? He's taking off his headset. Look at that bald head. Wait, what's he got? Is that a bomber hat? What? Is that a Raiders bomber hat that I'm seeing?
Yeah, it looks like a helmet.
Bomber hat helmet. That looks comfy as shit.
It's fucking comfy. It is.
That's one of those hats where you're glad that you're bald because then every single tiny nerve in your scalp is that like so nice comfy. Rubbing softness.
It feels really good.
That's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful.
I like it.
We're doing 4 today. I think maybe the first time ever because there was one I really wanted to get in. Right. Southern Oregon reps. Josh McDaniels was the biggest winner. MVP probably have to be Jacobs without a running attack. DC looks like DC. When Josh is a threat, he only has to make a couple of throws and not F up. So yeah, obviously a running attack helps the passing game. Passing game helps the running attack. We'll get that beautiful mixture on Sunday. But curious about that first sentence. Was the biggest winner on Sunday Josh McDaniels?
I think the biggest winner was, and not to sound like funny or anything, but the biggest winner was the Raiders organization because they're stuck with Josh McDaniels, I think, at least until the end of next season.
I agree.
So showing this type of resolve and having this type of success after having such a poor showing your previous time out is not only good for McDaniels, but it's good for Davis. It's good for Ziegler. It's good for the team. It's good for everybody because it's like, okay, now that we hit that rock bottom point, let's make this shit work for us. Let's keep on grinding and let's make it work for us. And it showed.
Well, there's still rock bottom can still be found. Soto, remember just how bad the Broncos are. But you're right. But it could be the opposite, right? This could be a spark where things start clicking again. It's not, I'm not saying we win the next 9 games in a row and we're in the playoffs. I'm just saying the reason why I've been anti-tanking this whole season was let's get this team to click. Let's get these guys to figure each other out. Let's figure out Patrick Graham's system, Josh McDaniels' system, see who's here for the long term, see what we got under the hood. Like these are those kind of games that kind of figure that out. I don't know how big he is of a winner because like you said, he's not getting fired this season, even if he wins or loses every game from here on out. He's not getting fired. No. But it could be his big win if that locker room starts to maybe buy into JMD a little bit more. Maybe that could be the big win.
Well, the thing is too is the way they want to. It's like it's how they want to play, dink and dunk, and then you make them pay when they give you the opportunity, and that's that's it. That's how we got to do it.
Actually, we only need to do 3. TD Sly. We have one of the highest type of possessions in the NFL. So how do we not keep the ball? I'm assuming he means time of possession.
Probably.
Type of possession. It sounds like a typo. So I looked it up. The Raiders are 20th in time of possession this season. 29 minutes, 33 seconds. And this is just in regulation, right? So like overtime stuff doesn't count. So that's only 27 seconds left than like 50-50. Which with our style of that made me kind of realize like, wow, I thought we had a much better time of possession than that. The way our offense works, right? Run the ball, short passes. We'll go deep when we need to. We have big plays in our back pocket, but it's mostly running overs to Davante, Josh Jacobs up the middle. Like that's our style. Like, oh, you know why? Because the defense is so bad. The defense is so terrible that even with this style of offense that moves the ball really, really well, still bad in the red zone, right? We're still not getting the same number of points that we need. But this is an offense that moves the ball really well. And I think we talked about it in the post-game show on Sunday. I think that's Josh McDaniels by design to make it a slow and steady type offense to try to keep the defense off the field. I've never understood that. I've never understood that thought process. It should always be get as many points on the board as possible. And maybe the way to get the most points on the board as possible is to be running the ball, short passes. Maybe that's, maybe that's your most efficient offense.
Mm-hmm.
But if you get 3 positions, if you both get 3 possessions a game or 30 possessions a game, all that matters is how many of those possessions turn into points. It doesn't matter what number of possessions is, because it's the same for both teams.
Mm-hmm.
We get the ball, you get the ball. We get the ball, you get the ball. We get the ball. The offense never gets the ball 3 times in a row, right? Unless it's like an onside kick or something, right? It's like one side gets the ball, the other one person does. Get as many points on the board as possible. Like, have that be the entire focus. What's the best way to score the most points? And if we score a touchdown in 10 seconds or 10 minutes, whatever the most efficient way to do it, is how you should do it.
And that's what this offense does. This offense, it puts pressure on the defense to make them show their hand a little bit, and that's when you see those long passes. So even though we are a move the ball down the field type of offense, there's always a deep shot cooked into these plays. That you always see somebody going deep. And that the numbers just show. I mean, the numbers aren't exactly what we think they are. Like, where do you think we are at drop rate, as far as percentage wise? Like in the league, what number are we in drop rate?
Probably pretty good, right? I couldn't even guess the number.
The last time I checked we're 14th in the league.
Oh, so just average,
right? So when people want to talk,
Davante and Waller have had some pretty. I think it's the drops have been at terrible times, but it's not.
There's never a good time for a drop, but it's we're average. And where are we at pressure rate? What do you think? Pressure rate. How often our offensive line gives up pressures on the quarterback? Where are we?
As of 2 games ago, we were like top 8 or something.
We're 15th.
15th.
We're 15th.
So that means the last 2 games. That makes some sense. The last 2 games, the pass protection has been really good, because before that we were. So
it's like you want to talk about. I mean, when you always say, "Oh, Derek Carr is running for his life," like, not really. Like, let's just take a look at the numbers.
Well, again, we were like 6th in pressure rate 2 games ago.
Okay, so last week, our pressure rate for the season is like 58%, something like that. Or no, that was our non-pressured rate. So I think it's like 61%. And last game it was 61%. The running game. So, and that's a good defense that we did it against too. So these guys, and no Colton Miller. He's not running for his life the way we think he is.
I would say this was Josh McDaniels' best game as a play caller by far. As a play caller, coach in general, no Colton Miller, and the offensive line held their own. Like you said, you can make a case the best defense in football.
Yeah. He had a clean pocket 71% of the time. That's great.
The way they set up that last Davante Adams touchdown, our boys at Tape Don't Lie broke it down how that was a play in like the second quarter. That Davante Adams that he fell when he caught it, for whatever reason he just fell down and hurt himself. That could have been maybe a touchdown, but he just fell. That was the exact same play, except instead of running that over, he ran.
When he adjusted his body to catch the ball and he fell because of it, that one. When
it was like a perfect pass.
Stop, RJ! Please stop! Please stop, RJ! Even
you're trying to put that on Carr.
Even the commentators said if the ball was thrown a little bit more in front of him, he could have ran after it. Come on, man!
He could have ran the way it was thrown.
That's just RJ.
Best wide receiver in football.
Stop, RJ!
Best wide receiver in football.
And he's gonna just fall down because he wanted to. Okay? Yeah, exactly.
Stop it!
Stop, dude.
Carlos and Fuego. You tell me what he means by this.
Mm-hmm.
My Raiders buddy, Soto, I share you windbags with my girlfriend. Always here for you. Raider Nation for life.
He knows I'm needing some strange. That's
I was going to say, do we get to tag team his girlfriend?
Listen, man, I don't mind doing a Texas tornado tag team match, I'm all right with it. I watch a lot of lucha libre, so I know about the tornado rules.
So I was in Paris just a few months ago, and I did visit the Eiffel Tower, but I've never actually Eiffel Towered a girl.
What about a wobbly H?
I don't know what that one is.
It's an Eiffel Tower, but you don't touch at the top. You just kind of like make a wobbly H.
See, my balance isn't that good. I need the full Eiffel Tower.
So, tornado rules in tag team wrestling is as long as a wrestler gets thrown out of the ring, his teammate can come in even if there's no tag.
Got it.
That's tornado rules.
So if
let's say Carlos is getting his in and he falls off the bed, then I just jump in like I'm good. I don't have to tag.
So does the chick kick the dude out of the bed and then the next guy jumps in? So she's like, all right, I'm over this guy. If I can get him off of me, I can start getting plowed by Carlos and Fuego or Soto.
I mean, we have to, respectfully, of course, we have to get those ground rules out ahead of time.
Needs to be at least a referee involved. Keep things in line.
There's too many bodies. There's too many people involved. There's always
my Raiders buddy Soto. I share you windbags with my girlfriend.
Look, Carlos is my boy, dude. He's always commenting. He's always really positive. I think he said he shares us, like he shares our podcast with his girlfriend. Like they watch it together or they listen to it together. I'm sure she's a lovely lady, and my apologies to her.
I share you windbags with my girlfriend makes it almost sound like we're his, but his girlfriend wants some. And so he's sharing his property, which is us, the windbags, with his girlfriend. Which makes sense.
I'm sure she is a striking young lady, and she's with a Raider fan named Carlos, so she's A-okay with me.
As long as you wear that bomber hat.
Oh, it's so comfy. My head. I'm trying to fall asleep right now because it's so comfy.
All right, well, you can fall asleep because we're all wrapped up here. Again, a rare Wednesday release of the Autumn Windbags. We'll probably do this, I think, moving forward because, Thanksgiving. We don't want you guys, we want to make sure we get it, get you guys your show in there before Turkey Day. So we're happy to do that. But that just gives us more time over the week. We still got to break down the Seattle game coming up on Sunday. And any other breaking news that may happen from here to then, we'll be on it. But until then, knock on wood if you're with me. Congratulations for making it all the way to the end of our video. If you want Darren Waller to catch 20 touchdown passes next season and for Maxx Crosby to have 30 sacks, go ahead and subscribe and click the next video.